Well, this morning I'm looking at some headline news and I realize that I'm going to have to get right on this very quickly because things are happening very, very fast. And I'm truly amazed at the unwillingness of the Western news media to send warning messages to the people to get ready for a nuclear exchange. Before I get started, I want to go over my little monologue here. The lying wonder of 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 9 is rooted in the Roman Republic, with despots, beginning with Caligula, constantly seeking to gain full power over their citizens, subjects, and neighbors. Now, history is proof of this, folks. The Roman-style republics and their associated kingdoms are responsible for, I say two things, but there's more. Theft of wealth and excessive living standards, either at the expense of their neighbors, foreign lands, or the next generation. As you know, the British Empire, just like all the empires before them, was guilty of this, and so was nearly all the European countries and the United States of America itself. And also the next generation. Well, Generation Z is finally here, folks. The end. I'm not sure how many people have caught that, but I sure did. The last generation, Generation Z, is finally here. Excessive wealth turns people into lazy, entitled deviants. And if you don't believe it, all you have to do is look at the French aristocracy before the French Revolution. The French nobles were a bunch of cross-dressers. Go look it up. But these entitled deviants are now left with trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. The system of lying wonders is now meeting its end. Now that I'm done with my monologue, we will go ahead and get started with war news. Alright, so I'll get started here first, and then the next article. So, this is a Greek publication. Article posted this morning. Russia mass fire. Now, I don't know about a mass fire, so this is news to me. U.S. blows up Nord Stream pipelines, dismantles Germany, and brings Poland in as a continental great power. Now, I had to think about this for a minute, but it makes sense. In a previous video, I don't know if it was the last one or one before that, I read an article on this channel about how the United States is desperate to stop a German-Russia union. Alright? The world has now entered a new phase of escalation in the global energy war after Russian Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines were blown up. Russian analysts of the powerful Russian International Affairs Council appear confident that the pipeline was blown up as a plan executed by the U.S. Now, I said I don't think that that's what happened. I think there were supernatural, or maybe the four messengers of Revelation 9 might be involved, but I always have an open mind. Folks, this is one thing that boggles my mind about Christians. They never have an open mind. When things are happening in front of them that proves their narrative to be wrong, they still hold fast to that narrative. And I will show you in Revelation 9 that very point, if I can remember to do so. What maybe I should do is go ahead and pull that up so that I don't forget, so that I'll be ready. Try to have everything ready, but a lot of times I do this on the fly, I have to admit. It's way down here. Neither the rest of the men, this is after the great nuclear war. The rest of the men who were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship Jesus, graven images of gold and silver and brass, stone, and of wood, and they do so every day at their Sunday church, which neither can see nor hear, neither do they repent of their genocides, nor of their pharmaceutical sorcery that's going on right now, nor of their immorality, the cross-dressing, I like it the way one man put it on YouTube, the alphabet lifestyle. LGBTQ, pedophile, and whatever, right? Nor of their thefts, which is what's happening right now. Then what's going to happen is China's going to do it, then Turkey is going to do it, then India and Pakistan, China and Taiwan, etc. Then they're all going to start jumping neighbor against neighbor. Okay? So what I'm saying is, Christians, just like everybody else, they will hold on to their false narrative even when reality proves their false narrative is wrong. Okay? So let's continue. We remind you that yesterday, as reported on War News 24/7, shortly before the explosions in Nord Stream, that the President of Poland and the Prime Ministers of Poland and Denmark inaugurated the Baltic Pipeline. Oh, the Baltic Pipeline. That's the replacement for Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. Now, folks, I need you to remember that while President Trump was in office, that he was chastising Germany for getting their supply line from Russia. So, Denmark inaugurated the Baltic Pipeline, which will transport 10 billion cubic meters of Norwegian natural gas to Poland every year and enable Warsaw to become 100% independent of Russian gas. Now you see what's going on here. A few days ago, Poland demanded, listen to this, folks. So maybe the story a couple of days ago was right, that the United States is trying to dismantle Germany because Germany is getting too cozy with Russia. And you folks, I don't know if you're aware of this. Now, I understand that Angela Merkel is no longer the chancellor of Germany, but she was a Stasi, and she and Vladimir Putin knew each other well when the Iron Curtain was still down. Yes. A few days ago, Poland demanded a mammoth 1.3 trillion euros in reparations from Germany for World War II. What will ultimately be left of today's Germany, should this take place? Poland, now a crucial energy hub, Russo-German relations severed. This is accurate. This is exactly what happened. See, I didn't even read this morning. I'm reading it and learning about it at the same time you are. As the Russian International Affairs Council reports, this terrorist attack on Russia's Nord Stream pipelines destroyed any possibility of a Russia-Germany energy rapprochement. And that's exactly what this whole situation is all about, folks. The Nord Stream, blowing up the Nord Stream 1 and 2. And immediately catapulted Poland into the position of one of the continent's most pivotal energy hubs, thereby driving the plans of the Anglo-American axis to divide and rule Europe to the next level. Actually, the plan is to divide Europe from Russia. But anyway, the attack does indeed serve Poland's greater interest for this very reason, even if she has probably not behind what happened or had prior knowledge of it. Suspicion must fall on her Anglo-American Axis allies. Both have an interest in dividing and ruling the EU by facilitating the rise of Poland as a continental great power capable of eventually competing for the bloc's de facto German leader, at least in Central and Eastern Europe. Aiming to take Germany out of the geopolitical and geoeconomic game for good, the Axis must not only successfully trick Germany into suicide economically through its compliance with anti-Russian sanctions, but also destroy any possibility of meaningful strategic rapprochement with Russia in the future. Sabotaging the Nord Stream pipeline accomplishes just that, completely preventing Germany from sticking to any energy plans it may have for the eventual restoration of relations with Russia. There is no doubt that the Anglo-American Axis is benefiting the most from the ecological terrorist attack carried out in the Baltic Sea against the two Nord Stream pipelines. Both countries are far from consequences from the ecological disaster they created and are thus able to advance their major strategic goals without any cost to themselves. This terrorist attack destroyed any possibility of a Russian-German... they said that before. Now, of course, it says only the United States benefits here. You can finish reading the rest of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The next one, folks, this one right here is very important, but the next article is even more important, and it is the reason why I moved so quickly to do this video. This is of the most extreme importance. Mi6, British Mi6 are saying these targets will be hit with tactical nukes in Ukraine. Russian media, use is justified, US and NATO will not budge. And what do we see here? Do I need to remind you about the videos that I posted back in April? What is that, 5-6 months ago? About the one who wears the ribbon of St. George is the one who is going to launch these nuclear weapons in Revelation 9, verse 17 and 18. Verse 13, and the sixth messenger sounded, And I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before not God, not Gotaz, not Deus, but Jehovah, saying to the sixth messenger, which had the shofar, not trumpet, loose the four messengers which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four messengers were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 10,000. Because of the way it was translated, probably from Hebrew to Greek to English, the number is probably lost in translation. But myriads and myriads. You see the word is myrius. That means myriads. So the myriads means 10,000. But it could be more than 10,000. Just myriads means, you know what myriads mean. I heard the number of them, and I saw the horses in the vision. Not them that sat. That's not what it says. It says to be seated on them. So that which was seated on the horses had breastplates of fire, colors of fire, and the colors were jacinth and brimstone. And I have gone over this time and time and time again. The jacinth and brimstone, jacinth is black and yellow and orange, but in this case it is specified that the lighter color is yellow. And what do we see here? Black and yellow, we see the ribbon of St. George or Gog. George means Gog. I did that video too. You can go look back in my video library. Maybe I'll go and pull up the links to these videos and put it down below for you to look at if you're a newcomer. There they are. Plain as the nose on your face. That is what's going to kill a third of men. And I went over it yesterday. A third part of men. For to kill the third, says third, of mankind. And here we have MI6, the British intelligence service MI6, citing its sources in Moscow, informed Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky about an imminent. So I think I'm going to put imminent on this video. Title: Imminent nuclear strike. Let me repeat myself. Imminent nuclear strike. And just so nobody is confused about what the word imminent means, let's look it up. About to happen. Overhanging. Is ready to take place. Happening soon. Those of you who speak English, you know what imminent means. About to happen very soon. For instance, this hurricane coming into Florida yesterday, it was imminent, wasn't it? For those of you who live in Georgia and northern Florida, it's imminent. And in South Carolina, in North Carolina and Tennessee, it's imminent. Within days. So I have to ask the question. I don't know the answer to this question, but you do. All these videos that I posted warning about this. Did it do any good? Did it make a difference? Was it helpful? Did it help you feel the need to get yourself ready? I don't know the answer. You do. Stressing that a list of targets has been approved. The bad news doesn't stop there. Russian media have begun to justify the use of tactical nuclear weapons on modern battlefields. The targeting is obvious. More specifically, Mi6 reported that the Kremlin has reportedly agreed to strike a number of targets in Ukraine with tactical nuclear weapons. This will not happen immediately and suddenly. Don't forget what is said about the best laid plans. They often go awry. Initially, according to the British, Russia will proceed to carry out nuclear exercises with the launch of hypersonic and nuclear missiles against predetermined targets. That's how it always starts, folks. Then, if the Ukrainians do not capitulate, according to the British analysts, the Russians will strike Ukrainian bases and the roads through which Western weapons are transported. These strikes with tactical nuclear weapons will be carried out far from populated areas, but will make it impossible for a long time to restore the logistics and supply corridors of the Iranian defense. It says ED here. This is a translation of Greece, folks. So that's the Ukrainian defense. Okay? Make it impossible for a long time to restore the logistics and supply corridors of the Ukrainian defense. And yes, they're going to do it. Other sources talk about the wider area of Lviv and the road axes, or the road connections that connect Ukraine with Poland. Have you connected the dots here, folks? The Russians then state official America, represented by the White House, has once again made it clear that the United States will not directly defend Ukraine. And yes, they did say that. Which makes me wonder. Well, the United States has been sending mixed messages, and I, for a long time, have believed that there are certain people in certain parties who point the finger at the other party. And what they say is Russia collusion, Russia collusion. And you know, the one who points the finger at the other saying Russia collusion is the one that's colluding with Russia. Now, do I know whether the United States won't launch a counterattack? No, I do not. I don't know whether they will or not. I have my opinions. Okay? In particular, the main newspaper of the Democrat Party and the mouthpiece of the U.S. government, the New York Times, firstly recall that the Russian armed forces have about 1,500 tactical warheads, and secondly, clarify that tactical nuclear weapons, at least in theory, are intended for use as part of a battle plan. In other words, a nuclear taboo associated with the destruction of Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the Americans applies only to the strategic arsenal. Thus, the New York Times states, strategic weapons are designed to deliver a crushing blow as a part of a grand strategy. It was the traditional nuclear scare in Washington and Moscow, and nuclear disaster scenario in the style of Dr. Strangelove. In other words, if we strike with tactical nukes in the context of a small conflict, nothing terrible will happen. Oh, sure. That's what they all say. In addition, few know that in 2002, the United States seriously considered the use of tactical nuclear weapons in Afghanistan for a limited range of military operations, in particular to destroy caches deep within the mountains. And don't forget, what's his name? General MacArthur wanted to use them as a barrier in the same way to keep China from going into Korea. And of course he was stopped by Harry Truman. During a briefing on the Nuclear Doctrine Review in January 9, 2002, Assistant Secretary of Defense Crouch said, "We are trying to look at a number of initiatives, one of which is modifying existing nuclear weapons to give them greater ability against deep or hard targets. Indeed, the U.S. has significantly improved its nuclear arsenal by creating the B-61 Mod 12 series and is already working on the Mod 13. When Adam Mount, Director of Defense Position, Federation of American Scientists, said that the weakness of Russian conventional weapon systems could explain the possible reliance on nuclear threats. He is blatantly lying? Well, I wouldn't know that. Expert Michelle Gray cites as a counter-argument South Korea's defense plan against North Korean troops, which relies entirely on tactical nuclear weapons. Moreover, to protect Seoul, even U.S. military officers have the right to routinely use nuclear weapons without the Pentagon's consent. Well, I didn't know that. You see how this can escalate out of control. But I'll continue to read until I'm ready to stop, but I need to go next to 2 Thessalonians 2 and then to Joel 2. Okay? In addition, the use of tactical nuclear weapons apart from international problems also has significant advantages, especially in combination with other tools. Dozens of materials can be found in this subject, including series articles that the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki allegedly saved Japan from more casualties if the United States had continued the war with conventional weapons. In any case, the U.S. generally has no right to tell other countries whether tactical nuclear weapons can or cannot be used. Given that the United States is the only country on Earth that has actually used a nuclear weapon against someone else, not once but twice, perhaps the better question is, are we really the right people to determine who should have a nuclear weapon? The Americans themselves must admit. In particular, the New York Times reminds that Ukraine is not a NATO ally and is not bound by an agreement on its defense. And that is correct, and that is probably the reason why, although the United States has threatened Russia with destruction of the Baltic Sea fleet if they started using nuclear weapons, I doubt that will happen. But my doubts does not mean I'm right or I'm wrong. It's just my opinion. Okay? So don't take my opinions as fact. You get the message now, folks? Do you agree with me now that things are rapidly moving towards the 6th trumpet sound? Now, there's something contained within the 6th trumpet sound that I need to point out. But before I do, we'll go to 2 Thessalonians 2 and Joel 2 first. Now, beseech you, brethren, by the coming of not our Lord, but the Moshiach, Yahoshua, not Jesus Christ. Yahoshua, that's his name. Jesus is of Celtic origin, and the Celts are Gentiles. And Iesus is of Greek origin, and Greeks are Gentiles. There's only one, Moshiach. He has one name. It's Yehoshua. That you be not so soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by any letter from us, that might even suggest that the day of the Moshiach is near. Let no man deceive you by any means, that day shall not come, except there come the great revolt, the great Jewish revolt. See that word? Revolt. And that caused the man of sin to be revealed. Who was that man of sin? It was Caligula. Gaius Caligula. He was the one who called himself a god. He was the one who ordered a graven image of himself as Deuspater, Jupiter, to be placed in every synagogue in his realm. And today, all Christian houses of worship, or nearly all of them, have the graven image of Deuspater, whom they call Jesus, Jesus, in their houses of worship. That son of destruction. It was this order that led to the destruction of the house of Jehovah in Jerusalem. Who opposes and exalts himself above everything that is called a God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as in his case, was Deuspater, and they set his graven image in the temple of Jehovah, showing that he's the one. And Paul is telling the Thessalonians, remember, I told you this when I was with you. I told you about these things. And now you know that withholds, he might be revealed. Now, in several videos back, you can find it. The name starts with a P. But there was a man who actually did withhold, who held back the destruction of Jerusalem. Go back and you can. I can't remember what the guy's name is. I'm not a young man anymore. My memory is not as good as it used to be. That he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity is 2,000 years. No. It's already at work. Right when he was still alive, nearly 2,000 years ago. And it was just about to blow up, nearly 2,000 years ago. But this situation led to the culmination, the end, the blowing up in prosperity of Satan's world, which we have right now. Only he now will let until he was taken out of the way, and he was taken out of the way. I wish I could remember that name. I'm going to have to try to go find that article and keep that name into my head so I can keep on pointing this name out so that people stop getting deceived by the alternate narrative. Then shall that not wicked one, then that which is lawless be revealed. And today is that lawless time. So that began with Caligula, the Jewish revolt, the destruction of Jerusalem, and from the Dark Ages eventually grew into this great, horrifying wickedness, a wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the lying wonders that which we have today, which I talked about in my monologue. And that will be destroyed, whom the Moshiach will consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. What will he destroy? Not even him. Doesn't say even him. You see right there. Which comes after the work of Satan. So this society, Western civilization, Russia, all the republics of the world are after the order of Satan. You can go look up, just name it, People's Republic of China. The USSR was a union of socialist republics. The United States is a republic. The European countries are all republics. Even Israel is a republic. So do not be surprised when the Moshiach comes. He may have the Israeli authorities arrested because they are pawns of the Roman Republic. With all power, right? All power. First you had the Industrial Revolution, then the Nuclear Revolution, then the Internet Revolution. And this world is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, euros, rubles in debt. This world, instead of living an agrarian society with the budgets in black, they have murdered, raped, and pillaged their neighbors, borrowed from next generations, to build an extravagant lifestyle which man does not deserve, and then to build defenses or offenses like this to guarantee in their own minds their ability to maintain that excessive, deviant lifestyle. But one must remember, there is no weapon that man has that hasn't been used or will not be used. Now, let's go to Yoel too. So these things are going to happen face to face with the day of Jehovah's wrath. Right here. Then it will come in the after part. That is after the time of Israel, Jehovah's wrath upon Israel comes to the end. This also happens when the Roman Empire reaches its peak and then collapses. I will pour out my spirit upon flesh, upon the flesh. Doesn't say all flesh. It says, I will pour out my spirit upon the flesh of your sons and your daughters, who are the sons and daughters of Yoel. Yoel was a Jew. He was an Israelite. They shall prophesy, and your old men shall have visions, and your young men will see visions. And upon the servant and the handmaid also in those days will I pour out my Ruach Kodesh. And it says the same thing in Ezekiel 9, verse 22, 23, 24. And this is the sign. He's going to set the sign. A portent. You know what a portent is. If you don't know what a portent, please go look it up. In the sky and in the earth, blood, fire, and Timara. That's nuclear weapons. When the first nuclear weapons started to get fired in the last days, not talking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because the 7 sevens, that's right, I know about the 77s, but there were 7 of those 7s of Daniel 9. That clock countdown did not start with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Nope. That clock countdown started with the call to rebuild Jerusalem by Shlomo Goren himself. I have referred to that so many times in my YouTube videos. Then you count 49 years, 7 sevens is 49. And that came to 2016 on the Roman calendar. And that man was elected, and what did he do? He did the Abraham Accords. And shortly after the Abraham Accords were signed, a different administration was installed. I didn't say it was elected, I said installed. And we have what we have now. So so the sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood, facing the great and terrible day of Jehovah. Now, Timara of smoke, just so you know what it is, nuclear explosion. Palm-like column of smoke. It looks like a palm tree, looks like a palm tree, looks like a palm tree, palm tree, palm tree. Got it? And what do you see? What color do you see? Blood in the sky, blood on the earth. That's what it says. All right. Blood in the earth. Blood in the sky, blood in the sky, blood in the earth, because of fire, and Timara of smoke. That's your sign. When the fourth wall of military defense, as they say, is broken again. The 77s, the entire 77s of Daniel 9 are finished. Therefore, this is the time, facing the great and terrible day of Jehovah's wrath. Now, during that time, that those who proclaim Shem Jehovah shall be delivered, shall slip away to Mount Zion. But the Christians, they don't believe that they're going to Mount Zion. They believe they're going to go to heaven. Well, the Jews know that they're going to go to Mount Zion, Jerusalem, because in Mount Zion, Jerusalem shall be deliverance, because Jehovah has said so. And it will be the generation of survivors that Jehovah will call. So I've discussed in great length Revelation 9. But in Revelation 6, starting in verse 12, it's the same thing. It is the sixth seal. So the sixth seal is opened up during the sixth shofar sound. Don't believe it? Let's have a read, shall we? And I beheld, and there opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So it's exactly the same scenario as Yoel 2 in the last part. And what appeared to be stars fell from heaven unto the earth, like a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. Now, here's the thing. Could very well be that when they first start launching nukes, that meteors will start falling out of the sky. Do not discount that. When she is shaken with a mighty wind, and the sky departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and coastland was moved out of their place. So this earthquake appears to be centered around the Mediterranean Sea. Not saying that there's no earthquake here in the United States. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the rocks and the mountains, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for great is the day of his wrath, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Now, I want to point something out to you right here in the fifth seal. Then he that opened the fifth seal saw under the altars the souls of them that were slain for the word of Jehovah and for the testimony which they held. Now that was the prophets, the apostles, the disciples, who were killed by the Romans. And they cried with a loud voice, how long, Jehovah, holy and true, do you not judge and avenge our blood upon them who dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet a little season, a very short period of time, until their fellow servants and also their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And those are the two witnesses. If you bother to read about the two witnesses in Revelation 11, you'll find out very quickly that's who he's talking about. Okay? So now, Once again, still inside the sixth trumpet sound, there is this. Because the messengers, as Yehoshua promised, would be sent to gather them. These messengers are the two witnesses, and how do I know this? It's written about in Isaiah 66. He says that he's going to send survivors, fugitives, back to the great nations and force them to gather all Israel back. You can read it. You have a Bible just like I do. You have got a laptop, computer, and Bible Hub just exactly like I do, and it's sitting right there in front of you. Isaiah 66. And so then, I saw the four messengers standing on the four corners of the earth, north, south, east, and west, and on the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow. In other words, stop everything. Stop it! Because if you didn't stop it, this is when those days are curtailed. For the elect's sake, those days will be curtailed, stopped. Otherwise, there would be no flesh saved alive. That the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor anything. I saw another messenger ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the four messengers, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. Now, King James Version says there was only 144,000 sealed. These are specific. There's a great multitude afterwards that are also sealed. It just doesn't say it right here. Okay? I'll prove it to you in a minute. And I heard a number of them which were sealed, and these were sealed, 144,000 of all the tribes of Israel. Now, there are some of you that claim that Dan is not a part of it because there is a typo by King James Version in here, but you just read. What does this word mean? Pas means every. Every tribe of Israel. It does not say except Dan. Of the tribe of Yehudah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Shimon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph? Wait a minute. Wrong. Because the tribe of Joseph has Manasseh in it. So Manasseh is wrong. Joseph is correct. Because Joseph has Manasseh and Ephraim in it. That means you have to put Dan back in the equation. It is indeed every tribe of the children of Israel. You see what happened here? Now, and the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. Now, it continues. He's not done yet. And after this, okay? No, not after this. Among them were See? With them. With them he saw a great multitude, which no man could number. With them. So nothing was allowed to touch the 144,000, and with them was a great multitude of people. Now, I want to show you, there's somewhere in here where it talks about the name of Jehovah in their foreheads. And these not only was the 144,000 have that name in their foreheads, so did this innumerable multitude. I beheld a great multitude which no man can number. Okay. Israel was scattered into every nation, kindred, and tongues, and you can read about it in the scripture. And they will be taken out of every nation, kindred, and tongue. And they will stand before Jehovah, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cry with a loud voice, salvation from our company, Jehovah, who sits on the throne, and also the Lamb. And the messenger stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped Jehovah, saying, Blessed and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our Elohim forever and ever. And one of the elders asked, and saying unto me, What are these who are arrayed in white robes, and where do they come from? And I said unto him, Sir, you know. And he says, These are those which were taken out, which escaped the tribulation. What tribulation? Watch this. Of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of Jehovah to serve him day and night in his temple. Not just 144,000, an innumerable multitude. And he that sits on the throne shall dwell with them, and they shall hunger no more, nor thirst any more, neither shall light on the sun light upon them, and neither heat. Watch this. They shall hunger and hunger no more. Watch this. Let me see if I can find it. Right. Wipe away their tears. Let me see. I hope I can find it. Yeah, Isaiah 25. Now, look here. You'll wipe away every tear from their eyes. There'll be no more death, right? Isaiah 25. That's where it comes from. Okay. I was right there in Revelation 7, was I not? Yes. All right. Neither shall thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them nor any more. And Jehovah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Right here. Now watch this. Where did that come from? It came from the prophet Isaiah. And you Christians, you want to claim that the words of the prophets don't matter. You claim that that is the Old Testament. No, the words of the prophets shall stand. All right. Jehovah of hosts will prepare a lavish banquet for all people on this mountain. What mountain? Jerusalem. I know you Christians think you're going to go to heaven, and whatever happens on the earth is going to happen on the earth. You think you're going to be snatched up and go to heaven and stay there. Well, you're going to keep on waiting while the Zionists leave and go to Mount Zion. Okay? Now, there are going to be Gentiles among the Zionists. Don't get me wrong. Don't mistake what I'm saying here. But the Zionists are going to go to Mount Zion when the call begins, when the call happens. I am a Zionist. Christians are not Zionists. They think they're going to go and be raptured to heaven when the Great Tribulation occurs. A banquet of aged wine, choice pieces of meat with marrow and refined aged wine. And on this mountain he will swallow up the faces which is upon all people, the veil that is stretched upon all the Gentiles. He will swallow up death for all time, and Jehovah Elohim will wipe away tears from all faces. He will remove the reproach of what? His people from all the earth. The reproach that has been upon the Jews for thousands of years is going to be taken away, because those who hate the Jews, see Deuteronomy 30, are going to be destroyed. Because Jehovah has spoken it. It will be said on that day, this is Jehovah, that we have waited for him to save us. This is Jehovah. Let us rejoice and be glad in Yeshua, salvation. For the hand of Jehovah will rest on this mountain, and Moab, Transjordan, will be trodden down in his place as straw is trodden down in a water of manure pile. Okay? Now we're going to go to the Great Tribulation. Saved out of, let's refresh our memories here. I hope you're ready for this. I'm not going to let y'all get away with saying that Israel is not applicable here. I'm not going to let you get away with it. Nuh-uh. Let's find it again. These that which came out of the great tribulation. Daniel 9, Daniel 12, checkmate. And you're going to say, but. There is no buts. It is not my fault that King James Version mistranslated the very first verse of Daniel 12. It's not my fault. And I'm going to show this to you, and you're going to have to make a decision. And you're going to have to do it very quickly. And if you make the wrong decision, you will suffer great tribulation. Daniel 9. Now, I'm sorry, Daniel 12. I keep saying Daniel 9. It's Daniel 12. Now, if you're going to read King James Version, this is what you're going to read, but it's wrong. It's wrong. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the people, the children of your people. This is correct. That is correct, but the next several words are incorrect. And there shall be a time of trouble, as was and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that be found written in this book. It's not how it says it. And if you read it like that, you're not going to get it. You have to go to Strong's Concordance and unravel the lie, which is King James Version. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of your people. That's correct. And who is that? That's the children of Israel. Daniel's people is Israel. If you bother to read the very first part of Daniel 9, you'll very clearly, he is speaking about the house of Judah, the house of Israel, near and far. He's speaking for all of them. So, when this message is given to Daniel, he is speaking about Daniel's people, the house of Judah, the house of Israel, both near and far away. It does not say there shall be a time. It says the goey. It says, hold on. And it shall come to pass. Time of adversary. Let's look at this. Distress. That is the great tribulation. Does not say such as never once since there was a nation. That's a lie. That is a bald-faced lie. It is a time of great distress upon the goey. And at that time, he says it twice. At that time, your people shall be delivered. What is his people? Let's go and look at Daniel 9. We'll find out who his people are. No, Daniel 9. Daniel's prayer for his people. All right? Who is his people? In the first year of Darius, son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king of over the realm of the Chaldeans in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understanding the books and the numbers of the years, it was 70 years in those days, because he read the book of Jeremiah, where Jehovah came to Jeremiah, the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto Adonai, Elohim, to seek by prayer and by supplication with fasting and sackcloth and ashes, and I prayed unto Jehovah Elohim, and made my confession and said, Anah Adonai, great and dreadful, El, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him. And if you love him, you will not call him God. That's an insult. That is blasphemy. If you love him, you will address him by his name and his title, just like you would do the King of England, even though the King of England does not deserve it. To keep his commandments. We have sinned, we have committed iniquity, we have done wickedly, we have rebelled by departing from your precepts and from your judgments. We did not listen to your servants the prophets, which spoke in your name. To our kings, to our princes, to our fathers, to all the people of our land. And he goes on, and here's what he says. Adonai. Righteousness belongs, or righteousness, you are righteous, but shame of face today belong to the men of Yehuda, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far. Those are the people of Daniel. And even King James Version commentary that were scattered through all the countries where you have driven them. So they're going to be gathered back out of all the nations where he has scattered them. Yes, all Israel has transgressed your Torah. Those are Daniel's people. So, those are the people that are going to be saved out of the tribulation upon the Gentiles. The time is coming when Michael, or Mikael will stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people. The time of trouble, adversary upon the Goy. And at that very time, your people, that is, the people of men of Yehuda, Jerusalem, all Israel, near and far, shall be delivered. They will attain, they will be written in the book of life. And indeed, Paul agrees. And I know my brothers, my mishpacha, I apologize for destroying the Hebrew language. I am illiterate in Hebrew, but I'll do my best, okay? Right here in Romans 11, verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant. Who's he talking to? The Romans. Of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness, or partial blindness, happened to Israel until the fullness, the peak of the Gentiles. And when the Gentiles peak, then comes their great tribulation. And so all Israel shall be saved. Because it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, who will turn away unholiness from Jacob, while Jacob is still unholy. Just like it says in Haggai 2. Because Jehovah is going to cleanse Israel of its sins, and Yehoshua the Moshiach is going to turn them away from sin. That's how. So your Christian narrative will be burned alive. Your Christian narrative is a lie by saying that Israel must repent first before they can be saved. No, they're going to be saved not for Israel's sakes, but for Jehovah's holy name's sake, for the patriarchs' sakes, for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sake. Concerning the gospel, this is my covenant unto them, when I will take away their sins. Israel cannot take away their own sins. Jehovah is going to take away their sins by the Messiah, by the Moshiach. Concerning the gospel, they might be enemies of the Romans, but concerning the election, they are beloved for the patriarchs' sakes, because the gifts and calling of Jehovah cannot be changed. So the tribulation is upon us. The tribulation fell upon the house of Jehovah in the year 70 on the Roman calendar. I'm here to tell you right now that the tribulation upon the Gentiles and the salvation of all Israel is about to commence. And I urge every one of you who are Zionists to prepare to leave, to exit, to leave the Roman whore in her coming squalor and go to Mount Zion.